Okay, so now we can start to hook up things to the actual the bones. So let's start with the face. So I'm going to go grab the right eye, the left eye, the mouth eye, hold down the middle mouse button, and those are all going to be children of the neck bone. So now you should be able to really see what happens with this, because when I move that, you can see how they go back and forth. Okay, so that's done and hooked up. Now we want to do the same thing with the buttons. So I'm going to grab the three buttons, middle mouse button, and assign those to the root bone. So now if I select the root control, when I move it, you'll see the buttons go along as well. So those are the easy ones. The next one is to actually skin the geometry of the body. So you grab the body, and then we're going to grab the root bone, and just the root bone by itself, and we're going to do skin, bind skin. And what will happen at this point is you'll see that already this is moving around and controlling and doing an influence. Now the problem is the way that this works is each vertex is assigned to there's an influence that each bone has on a particular vertex. And we're going to run into a couple problems, and let me just turn template off and this so you can see what's happening. So right now I have this. Watch what happens right here. So when I move this, you'll see how that pulls back and forth. And the reason why that is a problem is because the influence of these vertices is based on the distance of all these different items, and this is actually closer to the right foot than it is to the knee. So we need to change that, and what that influence is called is those are called the weight. It's the weight. So I'm gonna select the body all by itself, and I turned off reference because you actually need to physically select it. I'm going to do Control 1 so you can't see anything else, and I'm going to make sure that this is in a front view so that we can select all the vertices properly, and we also want to switch this over to a wireframe. And let me turn the grid off so you can better see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's our structure, and what we need to do is we need to start isolating the influence of different things. So I can go into vertex selection mode, make sure I'm in vertex mode, and I'm going to select, and I'll take 2 times because the first time it just wakes it up, is I basically have these vertices here selected inside the torso. And now I'm ready to adjust this, so I go into component editor, and this one is going to have a lot of different things. It's going to start at springs, and what you do is you just keep on moving. If you don't see it, you can just keep on scrolling until you see smooth skin. That's the one we want. And you can see the influence of all these different bones on these vertices. So this is a list of all the vertices that we copied or have highlighted, and these are the different bones. The only bone we want to influence all those is the root bone. So we go find the root bone, we click the very top item, and then we hold down Shift and collect the bottom, and we hit 1, and now you can see the only thing that influences this is the root bone. So 1 stands for 100%, 0 stands for 0% influence, and what we're doing is we're redoing the weights. Another way that people do this is they also do something called painting weights that they can use to adjust. I find that a little trickier to do, but that's a common technique that people will use. Okay, so let's do the head. So we grab all the vertices in the head, and those are all going to get assigned to the neck bone. So we'll highlight all those, type in 1, and now those are set up. Now I'm going to do the arm. Now for these, it's the right arm lower bone, which is right here. And you might have to be careful because sometimes it's a little hard to see the actual name of them. So we want the lower bone. We're going to go here, hold down Shift 1, and we have that selected. Now with the leg, the upper bone gets just these 2 points. So now we got to find right upper bone. Going to select here, enter 1, and if I want to double check and make sure that's the right and not the left, I'm going to come over here. We'll do the left upper bone, which is right there. Highlight those, hit 1. Now they're influenced. Now let's do the bottom. So this one is going to be the left lower bone, which is right here. I'm going to hit 1 and adjust those. Oh wait, Is that the left or the right? I think I got that wrong. Okay, so I gotta undo that. Okay, this should be the right lower bone. So we're gonna grab there, 1, and change the influence on that. This is the left lower bone, so make sure, highlight, hit that one. Okay, and then that we already got. And this we have, so the only thing we have to do is the other arm right here. So this is left arm lower bone, highlight that, hit 1, and that's done. So at this point, all the weights have been corrected. And now if we get out of this mode, and we get an isolate mode, Control 1, and I switch this over to a perspective window, and we look at it, if I grab this, everything moves up and down. Okay, that looks good. If I move this foot by itself, it doesn't influence or affect the other foot at all. So that looks fine. Even though it looks like I must have done something wrong, because this, this isn't set up right. You can see right there it's not moving at all. So I somehow hooked this up to something wrong. It's something we'd have to look at. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to keep on going, but looks like I have one thing set up that's off. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is blend shapes. What a blend shape is it's a way to animate a shape that people use for the most common thing is for talking and to get the mouth to move. So we're going to take the mouth, just the mouth by itself, and we're going to duplicate it. And this copy we're going to call smile. And we're just going to move this off somewhere. In the end, we're just going to hide this. You don't want this to render out, and it won't once you hook everything up, but for the time being. And then let's go into a front view, and we'll go and grab the mouth, and we'll adjust the shape a little. So I'm going to vertex edit mode. I'm going to take that, pull that down, and take this and move that out there. This, move it out here. And we'll take that and move that up to kind of create, let's grab this and move that up, and grab this and move it up. Okay, so that doesn't look like a smile yet. We're going to subdivide these eventually, and they'll round out, but for the time being, this is fine with what we have. So I basically copied the shape, and you can do this with anything. I'm just doing it with the mouth, but if you wanted eyebrows, you could actually do a similar thing. And then we're going to select the smile, which we have selected. And then we're going to select the mouth. So we're going to control click the mouth. And then we're going to go up to deform, and we're going to choose blend shape. And now if we grab the mouth, you should see that there's an option for blend shape, and this says smile. And if I highlight this and do the middle mouse button, you got to come over here so you can actually see it. Now you can see that you can move this back and forth to adjust it. So you see how it blends between the two. So at this point, the smile we don't need anymore. So visibility you can do off on that. You could even hide it from here as well, because the only time you would need it would be if you actually came back and needed to edit it later. But for the time being, we're fine. So now the trick is, how do we actually get this so we can animate it? And we could try to manually go in and do that value, but usually what people do is they add attributes to other things. So we're going to grab the master control. So let's go into perspectives. This is a little easier to grab. I'm going to go grab master, and I'm going to add an attribute to this. So we do edit, add attribute, and I'm just going to call this smile, and hit OK, and now you'll see that right below visibility it added a new attribute. Now we need to assign this to something. So we're going to go into Window, Relationship Editor. Oh wait, no, it's sorry about that. It's Connection Editor, and we already have this loaded, but we wanted to make sure that we have everything loaded. And this is and we have the smile attribute, which we selected right there. So now we want to select the mouth, and we want to highlight the blend shape. And this is key that you highlight that. If not, this won't work. So you highlight the blend shape and put reload right, and then you'll see wait, and you'll open up and see smile. And that's it, and you'll see that how this turned yellow all of a sudden. So we're done. And now if I go back and I select the master control and highlight the smile, when I do it, you see it actually goes beyond 1, so it's a little crazy, but you can see how that works and what the influence of that is. So we have that, and you just would key that, and that's how you can get the character to talk. So the geometry, if we go to render this right now, and we look at it, you can see that this is pretty geometric. It's not rounded out. The reason why we have it this way is that it's easy to select the vertices. But now what we can do is we can actually go to smooth it out a little. So I'm going to select all the buttons, the body, the eyes, and the mouth. You don't have to do the smile. And we're going to hit the F3, and now we have our smoothed or round out shape. Now if I go to render this, if you remember, it's just a preview, so we need to apply it. So we're going to go up to modify, convert, and we're going to do smooth mesh preview to polygon. And now it actually made it permanent. So now if we render it, you can see we have this round out shape. And also the mouth looks a lot more realistic. So if we go to grab this and do the smile and animate it, you can see how now it actually looks a little bit more realistic as far as the setup. And also if we do things like go to move the head back and forth, it actually isn't going to break as much. And we have all these different items set up. So we have the mesh set up. At this point, the only other thing to do is the only thing we want to touch are the controls when we animate. So the geometry, you can toggle to reference, which means you see it, but you can't select it. For bones, if you turn the visibility off with the bones, unfortunately, these items, even though these are associated with the geometry layer, because they're the children of the bones, if you hide the bones, then they disappear. So we're just going to set this to template, which basically means they're grayed out. So you'll see them just a little bit, the bones, but you can't actually select them at all. And then finally, the controls are the only thing we want to actually be able to control, because that's the only thing we're going to animate. So you literally do what we've done before, is you key these different items and set up the values for them. And if you remember, for any of these, if I go to move the arm up and down, I can move it in and out. If you wanted to change the direction, you can do that. Same thing with the leg. If I want to rotate the leg, you can see, oh, that's what happened. I put the weight on the wrong one, which is why it's always good to test stuff first. And if you move that up and down, it'll have influence as well. So save your rig without any keys on it, or if you want, you can go to -1 and add a set of keys, and then open up a copy of this file and use that to actually do your animation.